Rooster Teeth is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Don't let your internet provider see all the sites you visit. Hide your browsing activity at expressvpn.com/rooster. Did you know that RTTV is brought to you by ExpressVPN? You can protect your online privacy and keep your information private and safe and secure all for yourself. You know how? Go to expressvpn.com/RTTV to find out how. Hey everyone, welcome to the Rooster Teeth Podcast. I'm Gus.
I pressed the wrong button. I'm Gavin.
I'm Brian, a writer for Inside Gaming, Rooster Teeth's most popular channel by far.
John.
I'm Gus. Hey, were you trying to promote a little bit of there?
No, what I was trying to do, I had to cough. I inhaled some spit, and my mute cough button
right
and the bleep button are right there. But I bleeped my cough instead of muting.
I don't know about yours. My cough button's huge. The bleep button's small.
In an attempt to be quiet, you made noise.
Exactly, yeah, and a way more intrusive noise than me just coughing, probably. I've got the mini one, Gus, so they're both the same size.
The one I have is fucking massive. It's huge. It's almost as big as my keyboard over there. It's too big. Hey, welcome, Brian. Your first time on the podcast, like you said. Yeah. You're a writer. You work over on Inside Gaming stuff. Happy you could join us. I can't believe we'd never had you on before. It was like right before I slacked you to ask if you wanted to be on the podcast. Was it a week or two ago? Whenever it was. Eric was like, "Hey, we should have Brian on the podcast." I was like, "That's a great idea. Why have I never thought of that before?" And then Eric replied, "I'm not sure if you're being sarcastic or not right now."
Well, I've been at the company for 4 years, so maybe I needed to pay some dues. And now you're like, this kid's ready for the big time. And by kid, I mean a 44-year-old man. Yeah.
A fellow old person.
That's right.
Before we
look at this child Gavin hanging out with this old dudes. This child.
Before we get too far into the podcast, I do want to remind everyone Extra Life is this weekend. Well, actually, it's going on right now. Our stream, our 12-hour stream, is going to be this weekend on the 14th. But you can donate money now. Our merch is up there. If you go to
I got one of the posters.
Show us that poster, John.
Is this the dusk one? This is the dusk one.
You're a dusky boy.
I got dusky boy.
I got this one. I got the day. I got the daytime one. Oh,
dusk. What's this?
Is that some Suicide Squad thing? That's like really cool looking.
The paintball wall.
Okay.
Is there like a glow in the dark one or some sort of special one that people are going on about?
That'll be a limited supply run one. That there'll only be a certain number of them. So if you really want the glow in the dark one, you gotta be fast.
I guess that's why Jack in our Achievement Hunter Slack was like, let us know if you want any posters or shirts. Anything except the glow in the dark one. And then I was like, glow in the dark one sounds really cool.
Yeah. You've also got mugs. You can see I got a mug right here. It says Extra Life.
Oh, nice.
It's got a little something on the other side.
It's the moon ball.
And
it's the moon ball.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying a little something. You're right. I should describe it for the audio listeners.
You sounded like you didn't know what a moon ball was.
I know what a fucking I've been hitting the nuts with a moon ball. How would I not know what a moon ball is?
I'm just saying you sounded like it.
And I got the shirt, and also there's a hoodie as well.
Gus, what is a moon ball?
What is a moon ball?
It's like a polyhedral ball. That's the way I would describe it.
Someone went to college.
I went to college for a year.
Nice.
Then I decided, to hell with that.
Wait, Gavin, do you have a degree? You don't have a degree.
It was a weird time.
No, God, no. Look at the state of me.
Brian, do you have a degree?
Yeah, in journalism, so not really. But yes.
Yeah, we wasted years of our life, me and Brian.
Communication, baby. Boom.
Well, at least you're in that field. At least
we're actually both using our degrees. I have an arts degree.
Yeah, I write about the news. Yeah, I mean, mostly it's from other sites, but yeah.
I mostly make thumbnails now.
I use communication every day, but I have no degree in it. I'm just a really big fan of communicating, over communicating, really, if possible. Shit, I was gonna. Oh yeah, it was a weird time when I was in school. Like the internet was really taking off. When I dropped out in '97, So I was
because of the internet?
Right. I was like, I can either finish getting my degree and be done in the year 2000, or I can drop out now and try to do something on the internet while it's still like kind of the Wild West. So I was like, I decided to drop out and try to pursue doing something on the internet. Because I felt like at the time, the real estate, like it was going away quickly. Like you had to jump in early. Otherwise, you weren't going to have, as much of a chance. You were going to lose that head start.
So what did you get done between the dropping out and the start of Rooster Teeth?
Worked at a call center, then worked IT, but like boring stuff. Made 4 different websites that were all either extremely unpopular or just mildly unpopular. Then we made this one.
Mildly unpopular being like it's the people are there, but I can't like completely abandon it because
like we've got like 3,000 people who read this. Like that's not bad,
I was the same way, like early days of the internet, but instead of like starting a highly successful company, I just became a frequent Usenet poster on alt.binaries.pictures.erotica. But that not very lucrative, not a lot of money in that. There was a lot of porn, but
yeah.
It must have been an interesting time to be at the start of the internet, because I feel like if I was there for that time, I'd be like, there's so much money to be made here. How? Like, where do I put all the effort? What am I supposed to be doing?
Yes. You could tell you were on the beginning of something big, but you could also tell that you were too stupid to know what to do about it at all. And like, I knew a lot of hackers, and it seemed like the Wild West. Like they could just break into things, and like old people didn't know how to deal with the internet yet. It was great.
Yeah, that's why I moved to Austin. I was like, I know there's money to be made here, but I need to find other people who know how to actually make the money so we can figure this out.
And I need to say me too to this.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I'm not going to figure this out on my own. I need to find a couple other people, and hopefully together collectively we can put our brains together and figure something out.
I'm just imagining you walking into like an internet cafe and sitting down and just being like, what's everyone?
It's funny you say that. When I first moved to Austin, I would frequently go to Austin Books and Comics, trying to find other like internet nerds.
Someone talked to me, and they were literally all thinking the same thing, and no one would interact with each other.
Yeah, pretty much.
Early days of internet at school, we would just try to guess who might have a website. So you would just put in something.com and wonder if there's a website there. Like that was an actual recreational activity. It's like, I wonder if McDonald's has a website. McDonald's.com. Oh my God, they have a website. That was like what we did in class.
Oh yeah, remember when Sony had a billboard and it just said Sony.com, and we're like, oh my God, this is the future. Holy crap, they have a website. That was like 1995, I think.
I figured out how to download porn from the internet thanks to Newsweek. I forget what year it was, like in 94 or 95, Newsweek ran an article about the internet and how it was going to be huge, but how there was also the seedy underside because people were posting porn on it. And I was like, I never thought to look for that. It's like, they had like a screenshot of like Netscape loading a Playboy website. I was like, okay. Like I went to my computer and tried to load like that same website. I was like, there's porn on here. I never thought about that. I was like, thanks, Newsweek. You fucking derailed my internet ambitions for a good 6 months.
Do you remember?
I was going to say, I remember the first porn website I went to. I remember the URL still.
What was it?
Amateurmodels.com, which sounds like it should be a models website. It's not. It was just porn.
We had to go to like the computer lab at UT, the SMF, because like I didn't have my own computer. So you would go and you just have to get in line and log into one. And one of the first things I remember somebody seeing is someone, and there was just 2 pairs of boobs on the screen. And I was like, oh, there's something to this.
Wait, there were 4 boobs on the screen?
Yes, he had 2 separate windows open.
Got it.
And my can we swear on this podcast?
Oh, absolutely. This podcast is 90% swearing.
Remember the early days when there was like a gold rush to register like domain names like pizza.com and stuff? I had a buddy who was convinced he was going to be rich because he had registered fucks.net.
I gotta go there now. Hold on.
Yeah, I don't think anything's there, but he knew he was just sitting on a fucking gold mine.
Oh no, there's something there.
Oh,
Maybe he must have sold it.
It's not its own side. It redirects to another side.
Yeah.
Oh, you can see it in the reflection of my glasses, can't you? Never mind. Yeah, that was a wild time. The first web browser. This is the old man internet portion of the podcast. The first web browser I used was not a graphical web browser. It was a text-based web browser called Link.
Yes.
So it's like I would read the text description of images and be like, is that one I want to download or not? And you're like, yeah, sure, we'll give it a shot.
Do I want to invest this next 30 minutes of tying up my phone line for this?
Because each minute, like I could download 10. It was 10 kilobytes a minute. So if it was like a JPEG that was like 60 kilobytes, it was 6 minutes of download time. So you'd be like,
10 kilobytes a minute.
It's so fucking slow.
I wonder how long it would have taken you to download Modern Warfare.
That fucking game. Between that and Apex on my computer, that's like half my hard drive. Just those two fucking games.
It's unfortunate with the new generation of consoles that, like, when there's a huge leap in the speed of a storage medium, the capacity always goes back down. Like hard drives to SSDs, large SSDs are obscenely expensive. And I guess this new type of storage, the Series S has only like 0.5 terabyte or something, which is only like 300 and something gigs.
Yeah, but it's interesting because the games are smaller though.
They claim they're going to be 30% smaller because they don't need the 4K texture packs. Yeah.
Right.
Even though
it's a trade-off.
They do output 4K in the dashboard. Like you could set a 4K resolution, but the games don't play in 4K. Is it just like I
think it's upscaled.
Yeah, I think it's a 1080p machine. I don't. The S is not 4K. I don't think for most stuff.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, the S's sole reason is to make the PS5 cheaper. That's the only reason they made it, right? I mean,
to like drive down the price. You think?
Right. Wait, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't have an S, so I can't speak to it. But it seems like it's a great machine. Like if you don't have a 4K television, if you don't want to pay for 4K gaming, if you're playing on an HD 1080p TV, why not buy an S? I was going to say,
yeah, it's like if you don't have 4K and not a lot of people. I mean, it's not super widely adopted. It's the ultimate console because it's cheap and you got all that backwards compatibility. I think it's a great little thing.
Yeah,
I didn't really understand it at first. Yeah, the white one.
That's a kid's game room machine. That you put that on there, you get them Game Pass, you're done. You don't have to parent them anymore. John, you can back me up on this.
Yeah. That's what you do.
Mine play the Switch so much I had to get another one because they
what do they play?
They colonize a lot of Minecraft, a lot of Mario Maker 2, a lot of they're really into Rocket League. So we play Smash with each other. A lot of the multiplayer Nintendo games we play together.
Have you been training them in Mario Kart?
Yes, I don't let them win ever. Like I never let them, because I feel like once they finally do win, and they will surpass me, but they're not old enough yet. But I want it to mean something. So yeah, I'm old school in that
way. People in chat are saying the S is 1440p.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you. Who is this? This is ShadowPlayer97. Oh, and James Davis.
I feel like
2 a.m.
console resolutions fluctuate all over the place, though, like without you even really noticing.
Oh, right.
A lot of
the game, you mean?
Yeah, like areas of, I guess, where the frame rate would drop, they can just slightly decrease the resolution a few hundred pixels, and it just happens on the fly. But
yeah, if you want to know like the technical details, you go to like Digital Foundry and see like their analysis of a game. It's like, man, people way smarter than me are looking at this right now. Like, I'm just going to fast forward to the end where they tell me what to think.
Yeah, those guys definitely had degrees in something.
Yeah.
Like if I was, I'm trying to think of like my setup here that I use for work. I'd probably put a Series S here because we don't capture or stream in 4K.
Yep.
So that'd probably be the choice for recording videos.
Yep.
I know we don't capture in 4K, but it still bothers me. I have a 4K monitor, so I still play all my games in 4K, but then on the capture side, I downscale it to 1080. Which I ran into a stupid problem the other day. And we uploaded, what did we upload? We uploaded a Phasmophobia gameplay video. It was a hard mode where we had to play Phasmophobia, but we only had one flashlight we all had to share amongst us. and my frame rate ended up looking like garbage. It was like 10 frames a second, and it's because I'd installed a new monitor. My new monitor can do like 140 frames a second, but my capture was 30 frames a second. So since they didn't line up, the captured it played fine for me, but then the captured video looked like ass.
I've been having an issue where, because my graphics cards here, they don't have HDMI, so I think it's the DVI to HDMI process breaks something. But if I play in full screen, are locked at 20 FPS.
Ooh.
If I play in windowed and like almost full screen, then it's 165 frames a second or whatever.
I've experienced that before.
Don't know what's causing that right now, but it's new. It just started happening in the last like 6 weeks, maybe.
Weird.
I don't know. It's all stupid. It's like it's all a pain in the ass. Like everything works, and then all of a sudden it doesn't. You're like, fuck, what happened? Yeah, I mean, I was bitching right before we went live. I was bitching to John that another issue I was having was my Phasmophobia. Now, for some reason, whenever I'm trying to capture it, it just starts flickering, like it's not a solid signal. And I just before we went live, I realized this problem started when I started playing the beta. So now I've got to, after we're done here, I got to see if I play normal Phasmophobia, if I'm having the same problem or not, if it's related to the beta or if there's something fucked up. Because I've already changed all my HDMI cables. I've already taken my capture card out and reseated it. I've already tried to reroute every fucking cable, every bit of mess under this table.
Right.
But no, it might just be that I selected the beta. It might be just a dumb software thing.
Well, surely... Go ahead, Brian.
And also, you're playing a game made by one guy who like is trying to fix all these bugs. Like, we don't even know his real name. He's like one of these hentai developer dudes. He just goes by D Nighter, and like I read an interview with him last week. He thought maximum there would be 500 people on the server playing, and then it would drop off after launch day. And so now he's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to keep it in early access and fix all these bugs because I had no idea this would be any kind of hit.
Listen, if I'm going to be honest, if I'm that dude, I remain as anonymous as long as possible.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, you don't want your family coming after you, with requests for money. I mean, no, be D Nighter forever, like those people who win the lottery and stay anonymous. Yeah,
that guy's got. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Why isn't the lottery wins anonymous by default? Like, why would people want to come out and be like, I got all the money? Why would they do that?
Yeah, come get me, exes.
I think in some states you can't be anonymous, but in some states but yeah, you're right. I don't know why. For privacy protection, you should just be able to
disappear.
Right, remain anonymous. Like, I'm sure you've probably seen photos online of like people who go to collect their lottery winnings and they're wearing masks or bags over their head.
Yeah,
so that they when they're photographed receiving the money, you can't actually see who it is.
I would be like Kaiser Soze at the end of Usual Suspects. Yeah, like you're gone.
Thank you for making that millennial reference our audience will get. Brian,
I got more.
Yeah, Phoenix, Brian, on Twitter this morning, Brian was referencing the hostages held in Iran being released after Carter lost the presidential election. I was like, that's going to be hip with the kids. That's a quality tweet right there.
They came out with a cure for COVID today, right after the election. It just felt like Iran being like, all right, cool. Reagan got elected. Yep, you can have the hostages back now. There's something going on. I'm just saying.
Brian.
They cured COVID, like they cured AIDS and just didn't tell anybody about it, and just like, oh yeah, they cured AIDS now.
Please don't say things like they cured COVID out loud on a podcast.
They got a vaccine.
They don't have a vaccine. Stop saying shit like that. They are still developing.
All right.
It's in the final phases of approval. They do have a vaccine. It's just not approved.
It's finished. Yes,
right.
It's finished. You might hate Big Pharma, but like this is where Big Pharma, I feel like, can really pay off.
I obviously want Big Pharma to come through. Like, fucking do this, but don't be saying things like they cured COVID. They didn't cure COVID, you crazy motherfucker.
If it makes you feel any better, like, they care more than anything in the world, more than human life, they care about money.
Right.
And the statement they made was that they could manufacture between 15 and 20 million doses of the vaccine by the end of the year. They would not say that if they weren't positive they could do it, because if they fail to manufacture that many doses by the end of the year, their stock tanks. So it's like they have to be pretty confident that they're going to get approval and make that many doses, because if they make 14,999,000 doses, their stock's going to lose 10%.
Dude, 90% is really high.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of the measles vaccine, they said. Yeah. But I feel like Big Pharma is like basically your big brother when you got beaten up at school, and they're like, "Oh hell no, only I can do that." That's what they're coming in and they're just beating some ass now.
You can't die. I'm going to bankrupt you.
Right. No, you haven't paid me enough yet to die.
Before we get too far away from Phasmophobia, Phoenix Fury in chat did remind me of a moment from that Phasmophobia Let's Play that I forgot, which was you and Chris inside the school hearing a noise and thinking that a ghost was typing on a typewriter somewhere in the school. But the truth was I had gone AFK to go deal with my kids, and you guys went ahead and started the game, and I came back and was standing outside the school with the lighter in the game, and I was just flicking it on and off, on and off, on and off. And you guys, and I can hear you guys going, "Show us the sign. Is that the ghost?" Is that, and you guys were trying to figure and so I'm just, there's capture of me just like losing it as I'm just clicking the thing on.
It's hilarious because I thought it was a new feature they patched into the game. I thought, oh, now ghosts can type. Like the phone's ringing sometimes. Maybe there's a typewriter and a ghost is typing. That sounds like something spooky that would be in the game. But it was John with a lighter just making that noise, making us think that there was a ghost typing.
And it's not like you were going to find me doing it because no one had a fucking flashlight because that's the mode we were playing.
I finally played that game. It's way more scary to play than it is to watch.
It's scary.
For some reason. I feel like some games are pretty scary to watch. That one to me, it's just like, I guess it's okay. But playing it's like a different thing altogether for some reason. It's
because you hear it. Like it's in your, you hear, and it's you moving around. I guess when you're watching someone play it, you're hearing it too, but you're also hearing your voice.
It's that link to you.
It's also the tunnel vision effect that happens when you're limited in your view of stuff that can really ramp things up. But I was playing Phasma with Carrie and then Brian Lee, who used to work in animation, and then Bria Lay, who's a Twitch streamer. And we discovered a mini game inside of it that we found that we loved, which is we just played hide and seek in the game, where one person was the seeker and the other three would immediately go in the house and would just find spots in the house and hide. All the while the game is playing. And if you're on professional, it immediately can start hunting you. And so we would just be sitting there waiting for the hider or the seeker to find us. But sometimes the ghost would find us and kill us right in the middle of our game.
Oh, that game's so good. This episode of the Rooster Teeth Podcast is brought to you by Keeps. Your hair is part of your personality. Everything from the way you part it just right to the product that gives you that great hold that you're looking for. And when we get into our 20s or 30s, we start noticing the first signs of hair loss. Definitely feels like panic because, let's face it, no guy's ever ready to go bald. Thankfully now there's Keeps, the easy, simple way to keep your hair. 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35. Everyone's got that friend or uncle who's gone through it. And the best way to prevent hair loss is to do something about it while you still have hair left. You used to have to go to the doctor's office for your hair loss prescription. Now, thanks to Keeps, you can visit a doctor online, get hair loss medication delivered right to your home. They make it easy and deliver your medication every 3 months, so you can say goodbye to pharmacy checkout lines and awkward doctor visits. The best part is Keeps offers generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products out there. You may have tried them before, but probably never for this price. Keeps treatments typically take between 4 to 6 months to see results, so it's important to act fast because the sooner you start using Keeps, the more hair you'll save. So see for yourself why Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors, and more than 100,000 men trust Keeps for their hair loss prevention medication. Keeps treatment starts at just $10 a month. Plus, for a limited time, you can get your first month for free. So if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/rooster to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/rooster.
I'm excited about Assassin's Creed game.
That comes out tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. It's been installed for a couple of weeks now on my Xbox. I'm just staring at it, waiting for it to become a game that I can use.
It's like all the 1s and 0s, except it's missing the last one. It's like, is it a 1 or a 0? I don't know. Then on day of, it downloads the last little number to make your number complete so you can play a game.
Is it impossible to just edit, I guess, hack it so that you can play games early? Is it super difficult to do on Xbox, do you think?
Well, considering you don't hear about people doing it, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in the modding scene, so I don't know how possible that is. But it's insane to me that you can basically give everyone your game and then lock them out of it successfully. To me, that seems...
Well, I think there's still like a last little bit you have to download on day of launch. Like normally when it's ready to launch, you download like another 30 megabytes or something, which sounds tiny, but that's sizable, you know?
Yeah, it's like if you open a JPEG in Notepad and just like mess with it a little bit and then save it again. It's like it doesn't work as a picture anymore.
Going back to our earlier discussion about teenage Gus downloading porn.
You put a lowercase b in there.
Sometimes the downloads would corrupt and it would open up like that. And I'd be like, I know there's a correct sequence to make this into boobs. If I just figure out what it is, it'll work.
Like watching Scrambled Cinemax on Saturday night. Yeah. I know you know about that, Gus. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally.
I did that once to avoid, or to get away with not doing some homework at school. My teacher who was a knobhead. I just opened a JPEG of his face in Notepad and then pasted that into the Word document that was supposed to be my homework. And then he was like, "Yeah, I couldn't open your thing." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know what happened." It was like all just like garbled text from the picture of his face, and he didn't even realize.
He was looking at his own face.
He was looking at his own face in text form, and I was like, "Oh man, yeah, I guess I'll give it to you tomorrow." I don't know what happened. But it was a tactic that worked back in the day.
Oh, I have to tell you, you just made me remember something that happened with something one of my kids' teachers did this week. Which, if chat's keeping track, we're now finally talking about dad stuff. So if you really want to mark off your bingo card of all these old guys talking about certain things, we're gonna talk about dad things for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
No, so they're on Zoom calls now because they're doing remote learning and everything like that. And so they have Zoom calls today, but my eldest, she has a final call, 2:30 in the afternoon. All of her class meets, they say goodbye for the day, and then they go. She does her call, and then later that day, we get an email from her teacher emailing her, telling her she doesn't appreciate her leaving the Zoom call early. The stuff they go over in this last little Zoom is very important, and she gathers all of this stuff for them to do or go over, and then she can't do that. And I go over to my kid. I'm like, "You went to that Zoom call, right?" And she's like, "Yeah," because I saw her on. I was like, "Did you leave early?" And she's like, "No." And mind you, my kid is a fat little liar that constantly is trying to get past me. But I did everything I normally have to do to get her to tell me, like, the truth. And I got to the end. I was like, I think my kid's actually telling the truth on this one.
Yeah.
So the next day I tell her, like, you need to ask your teacher why she sent that message. And so she originally asked her teacher if, she's like, "Hey, did you say I left class early?" Because I didn't. And her teacher was like, just responds and goes, yeah, you didn't leave early. So my kid tells me that. I'm like, "No, ask her why she sent that message then." Turns out her teacher sent that to all the kids because some kids left early. She didn't know who, so she was just trying to see. She was trying to fish for who did it.
Have you gotten busted?
I just say it's a shitty move. Don't do that.
That's pretty shitty.
Have you gotten busted yelling at your kids when they're on a Zoom call yet for school?
It's my nightmare because we all have like stern moments with our kids or frustrated moments.
Yeah.
Just FYI, if you think that every parent is always just sweet with their kid or patient, you're full of shit. We all get upset at our kids, and that's just how it works. But between this whole setup, and then I have one kid in one room who's constantly on Zooms with her class. And then they have the other one in like the kitchen area so she can have some privacy because I have a tiny little apartment. So my entire house is just streaming to somewhere at all times. So I'm just constantly worried about hot mics and live cameras and everything like that for everything.
Yeah, I got busted like running in like, "Who left the bathroom towels on the floor without?" And then I was like, "Oh." And they're like pointing like, "I'm on a call." Like, all right, we're gonna talk about this later, but
it's like that Scottish woman busting in and yelling at her kids for not flushing the shit away.
They do that all the time. They are disgusting. That Scottish lady was right on the money. Mine finished too at like, it's crazy how early they finish because mine finished one time at like 2:30 and they're like, "What do I do now?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Go do." So we have a rule like you got to do an hour of exercise before you're just a piece of shit in front of the TV. But still, like an hour of exercise a day, that's more than I get. So
have them exercise a little extra for you. Be like, you can do an extra 5 minutes for me. It'll add up.
Put a little for daddy's heart on there.
The other
exercise is important for my brain, I've discovered.
Yeah. The other day,
it releases chemicals.
I felt like I forget what day it was. It might have been Saturday or Sunday. I don't remember. One of the days this weekend, I was so sedentary that my legs started hurting. I was like, oh man, I need to get up. Like I need to walk around a bit. Like this whole last week, like I was just glued to news, right? With waiting on the election coverage. I was staying up super late every night, waking up super early every day, trying to see if there's any news. Like I'd come and I'd work for a bit, then just immediately news. So it's like I think it all caught up to me with this past week, and I was like, so I started just standing up and like pacing around, like doing laps in my house just to try to to
avoid the atrophy.
Right, keep some level of activity going.
Yeah, and once you hit a certain age, you're like, am I going to lose this leg? Like, is this it for that? Well, okay, I can still play video games. It's going to be okay, but I don't want to just hobble around like Long John Silver or something.
I had that with my left ankle last week. I guess I've been sitting on it a bit, and it got sore for like 2 days. I was like, is my ankle always going to hurt, or is this just like a temporary thing now?
That's what I did. Yeah, worst case scenario immediately.
You're just like, is this the norm? I've got a new pain, and that's for life.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, or it's it's probably cancer. Yeah.
Is that what your brain goes to with any new issue?
Mine did that in my 20s, so it only got worse. Like right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I had bursitis a couple of years ago, and like that day, like it caused like a little burst of sac in my elbow, like burst, and it made my elbow swell to like the size of a potato. And that day, like my elbow started hurting that day, and my first thought was, I have elbow cancer or something. I think I even tweeted like, that's it, my elbow hurts. I think I have elbow cancer. And then, like throughout the course of the day, it just like inflated to the size of a potato. I was like, oh no, that's bursitis.
I really like that you compared it to the size of a potato, a vegetable that could be any size whatsoever. There's no like standard.
Are we talking about a new potato, a sweet potato?
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah.
Could have been a new potato.
Yeah.
I had a cat bite my hand one time, and like the fang went through it. You can't really see it on camera, but there's like a little hole in my hand.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
It swelled up like a boxing glove. It was the most painful. Like a cat bite is I had to get on like serious antibiotics because they were like, oh no, we really need to fix this or you might die.
Yeah, I had the same thing exactly with the cat bite, where it's like my thumb just started to die. Like all of the skin was just dying off. And I was like, is this like some sort of necro, like derm? It was like a massive issue for ages. And eventually it all grew back. But it was like, whatever they have in their mouth, like nasty cat bacteria, it like spreads pretty far from where they put the teeth in. And I still, like, it's mainly in my thumb where he like wrecked it. Like there's still a thing that will never show up on camera. But he also bit this part of my hand, which... the skin is just different now. It like perpetually like a hard scar that sometimes I knock it and it's like it opens into a new wound.
You know what doesn't do that? A dog. My dogs have never turned on me and bitten my hand and caused my thumb to die. My dogs, they just love me. Just throwing that out there. There's another animal. There's another wild animal that's acceptable to have in your house.
Yeah, I mean, there are dogs that will wreck your shit, though.
Yeah, dogs that killed people. Yeah, you get a pistol and a 2-year-old. It's not going to be a good situation.
Just get a cat-sized dog like I have. They know they're small.
Hey, Gavin, have you ever stood outside with your cats wishing that they would go poop while you're cold outside, maybe in the rain, just wishing they would hurry up and go poop?
No.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do like dogs. I do like the affection of a dog. But to me,
I can argue both sides because I've owned both and I love both.
I don't like the constant dog smell. You wash a dog, it smells good for about 4 hours. And that's it. Then it's back to just it smells like dog in here again.
I feel lucky because Benjamin does not shed, so I don't have like dog smell everywhere. As long as you obviously be diligent about cleaning up. Like he doesn't leave fur everywhere, so there is no dog smell.
What about Oswald?
Oswald does shed, so we have to be very diligent about cleaning that up. We had Benjamin by himself for years, though.
My dad's a big dog person. Like he always has dogs. He's really into like standard poodles, which are those like giant, those big ones.
Yeah.
But my philosophy on dogs is you might as well raise a kid. because it's the same amount of care, but like you're not going to be able to guilt a dog into taking care of you when you're old. You can do that. That's like a retirement plan with a kid.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people have kids. That's like the thing.
Yeah.
Like when I, decided, when my wife and I decided we weren't going to have kids, like some people would say, like, well, who's going to take care of you when you're old? Like people that I pay with the money I save from not having kids. Is that like an okay option? Can I say that?
Yes. Yeah, and probably will do a better job than an eye-rolly 20-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like the idea of kids being like something that vests over time into something helpful. And you're like, oh yeah, this is
their compound interest. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But you really got to put in the time, and
yeah,
it's like a retirement fund that you got to feed.
Yeah, like I already plan on bringing up, like, remember when we played Smash Ultimate together? Like, you need to change my bedpan every day. Like, that's how it
goes. If you have something, Gus, I
was going to say, John, someone in chat was asking if you're still fostering kitties, and I told him that Charles and Eric got forever homes.
Yeah, they went to their forever homes together on Tuesday, so they
How
have
did
a new.
You cope?
I mean, it was sad, but I mean, I went into this with the mentality that I was doing this for a certain reason. Even talking with Hannah helped continue to put it into words that sometimes you need even your own thoughts put into words that help you process your feelings, and Hannah did a very good job of that for me. But I'm prepping these guys that I'm fostering to help the shelter, because the shelters are always overrun. They always have too many cats.
Yep.
And so if I don't foster them while we wait for a forever home, then a lot of these cats, they got shitty, existences ahead of them. So it's that. And then also just like Hannah phrased this way. Of course, her sweet mind thinks it this way. She's getting someone's new best friend ready for them. And so that's what I'm hoping to do with these guys. And I was sad to see them go on Tuesday, but I'm also someone who still isn't ready for like always having a pet and watching a pet age and die. I'm not ready for that still. So this is the perfect thing for me where I can have kittens. Like Gavin, you gotta admit, kitten time is a good time, right?
Oh, it's such a good time.
Now I get kitten time and then I get rid of them and then I get renewed kitten time with new kittens.
It's refreshing itself.
But what if it becomes your best friend, John? And then you've got to give your best friend to someone else.
I'm sad about it, but I'm looking forward to like being that person for a lot of needy animals. And so I actually have a new fosters on their way to me. They're in a different shelter and they're getting transport, I think, tomorrow. So I might have new kitties tomorrow. I might have a pack of 3 this time.
I read today, I learned on Reddit, I think it was yesterday, that I guess if the state of Hawaii encourages tourists who visit the island of Kauai to check out dogs from the shelter and like spend the day with them out and about, or like and take them like wherever they're doing their touristy stuff on the island, and they give them special Adopt Me vests. So it gets them out in front of locals who live there. That way they can see them. Idea. Right. It's it's like people don't have to actively go to the shelter. It's like a tourist comes, checks out a dog. It's good for the dog to go out and, socialize and, go hiking or whatever. And then theoretically someone who could adopt it sees it without having to go to the shelter. It's like, that's a really, really smart idea, especially since it's such an outdoorsy place that encourages, the kinds of activities that you would want to take a dog on. So.
And what if you were an indoorsy person in Hawaii? Like
in Hawaii,
I just want to stay in and play video games all day. I just live in actual paradise, but the PS5 is coming out this week, so fuck it.
Are you going PS5 over Xbox?
Yeah, I think so.
Right now, all the Xbox games are like backwards compatible stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I think it's just a better Game Pass machine at this point. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit more. The Demon's Souls remake, I don't know. For me, I love that game back in the day. So yeah, I want to check that out.
God of War. It's the only reason you should. That's the only reason you should pick God of War. Mm-hmm. It's the best game ever.
That's great.
They're
I've
making
actually been playing a lot of Gears Tactics. Have you played that?
No, but I love those games.
I didn't realize I like turn-based games until I played Mario versus Rabbids.
Oh, the game's so good.
So good.
And I was like, this is really good. It's like quite difficult sometimes. I
love turn-based games. Like of all time, that may be one of my favorite genres, if not my favorite genre of all time. It's like turn-based tactical strategy games. That is my fucking jam. Anytime there's a new XCOM game, forget about it.
Yep.
I gotta go and play some XCOM games, which I think I've played in recordings, like in videos, but I'm always in a video mode and I'm not really taking anything very seriously. But I think I would enjoy those games. And what I like about them the most is that sometimes it seems as though you're completely screwed. You're like, there's no getting out of this. And then you remember that one of your dudes has that one ability that will flip the entire thing. So you're like, wait, I can do this. And then he can move one further. And then he can get that guy up. And then it just all chain reacts into the thing. And it's so satisfying when that happens. And I'm just really enjoying Gears Tactics.
There's also the flip side of that, where you're like, I've got this in the bag. This is easy. You're gonna wipe this up. Then your people miss 95% successful shots. You're like, what is happening?
Right. I was that way in Fire Emblem. My Pegasus Knight is just wrecking shop, and then here comes the archer on the other side, and just boom, 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 and it's over. And I got permadeath on because I'm not a casual. Yeah. And you're just done.
Ooh, in chat, Technogashi said, fucking Advance Wars for GBA was the shit. I forgot about Advance Wars. Advance Wars was so fucking good.
The best.
Oh, man. I got that game because a pawn shop employee in San Antonio told me to steal it. I used to love going to pawn shops to get video games for cheap. And I was down there at a pawn shop in San Antonio, and I saw Advance Wars in the glass case. I was like, "Oh, how much is that?" And the employee brought it out and put it on the glass case. He's like, "Just palm it." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Just palm it. I'm blocking the camera. It's fine. Just take it." I was like, okay. I felt like I was being set up with a trick.
Total setup.
Yeah, I was like, all right. So I just grabbed it and walked out.
I bought something the first used CD I got was at a pawn shop, and my friend there, it was BC Boys, Check Your Head, and my friend got mad at me because she was like, that belonged to somebody else and they had to pawn it because they needed the money, and now you're stealing it from them. And I was like, okay, but it's still a good album, and it's $5 and it's $5. You can't beat these prices. Yeah.
My car was broken into once in downtown Austin, and the police couldn't contact me. I guess for whatever reason, my window was smashed. Someone broke into my car, stole a bunch of stuff, and they couldn't contact me. So the police impounded it and charged me for it. Thank you. And when I finally tracked my car down and went to get it out of the impound lot, someone had stolen all of the CDs out of my car, except for OK Computer by Radiohead, because it was still in the stereo. They stole the face off of my CD player, but they left the CD that was in there. I was like, well, thanks, I guess.
That's a good Radiohead album. It's not like one of the weird ones that they released, know.
But I was so excited because when I went back to get my car, because it was parked downtown, it wasn't there, and I thought it had been stolen. And I thought, because I hated that car. I was like, thank God, I'll get some insurance money. I can finally buy a better car. And then I found out that it was just impounded, and then I had to pay to get it back. And then I had to pay for a new window. Fuck, this sucks.
You had to pay to get back a car that you hate.
That happened to me. I did a whole week hosting at a comedy club here, and after the end, it was the late show on a Saturday, and I got my $150 for hosting this 5-day stretch or whatever, and I was like, cool, I got my money. It's not a lot, but it's 2 a.m. on a Saturday. I go in and my window's busted out in my car, and it cost me $200 to fix the stupid window. So I lost money for the whole week. It was the worst, shittiest. They didn't steal anything, but still, just to get back to normal, it cost me $50.
That's the shit thing about insurance deductibles, is that I guess I grew up thinking if someone chucks a brick through that window, it's covered by insurance. It's well, just that window on its own is probably not. They're probably just gonna have to buy that window again. It's you really just mess everything up. If you just lobbed one brick into every car that you saw, like everyone would be out of pocket. It's insane.
Right. You just peck them to death. Yeah.
This episode of the Receipt Podcast is brought to you by the Jordan Harbinger Show. I'm sure you get podcast recommendations a lot, and you sleep on them. Don't worry, we're all like that. We've all been there. Don't let that happen with this show. Jordan's show, which Apple named one of the best of 2018, is aimed at making you a better informed, more critical thinker, so you can get a sense of how the world actually works and come to your own conclusions about what's happening, even inside your own brain. Each episode is a conversation with a different fascinating guest, and when I say there's something for everyone here, I really mean that. In one episode, Jordan talks to a hostage negotiator for the FBI who works offering techniques on how to get people to like and trust you, which is, useful and disturbing at the same time. Another episode tells the story of a cinematographer who discovered a lost city in the jungle and made one of the most important archaeological finds of the century. There's a couple of great episodes. There's one with Billy McFarland, the organizer of the Fire Festival. Another one with Oliver Stone, who's made tons of great films in Hollywood over the years. Jordan's always focused on pulling useful, practical insights out of his brilliant guests, and we're not talking about pop psychology or wishy-washy self-help stuff here. The episodes are loaded with bits of wisdom you can use to legitimately change your mind and improve your life right away. And if that's not worth checking out, I'm not sure what is. We really enjoy the show. We think you will as well. Just search for the Jordan Harbinger Show. That's HARB as in boy, IN as in Nancy, GER on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You'll be happy you did.
Don't forget on the PlayStation argument, Miles Morales. Just don't want to let that swing by.
That's good. That looks cool. I heard it's not very long, but I'm kind of okay with that. I'm okay with an 8-hour game.
Oh, yeah.
If it's 8 to 10 hours, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, there's sometimes what was it? I think it was Days Gone. I was like, I really started playing that game, really got into it. Was like, man, this game's going a bit too long for me. I wish it was let's just trim it down a little bit, and I'd be happy. And I'm not dinging the game. It's just my time that I have to dedicate to gaming or to finish a game. It's I wish that you could sit down and have a mode where you choose your difficulty. You could choose your age. You'd be like, I'm over 40. I don't have a ton of time to dedicate to this. I still want to know the story. I still want to get through it. Can you chop down the stuff you added to fluff out the time? A lot of people do that with games. They add there's a side mission, there's these B stories.
Can I get rid of the escort missions and the fetch quests? Yeah.
Right. There should be maybe 20% into each game. It should be all right, what are you thinking? Are you thinking that you don't want this experience to end? Or are you thinking let's lose the fluff and get going? And you just pick one or the other and it just halves the length of the remaining game.
Yeah.
I feel like we should patent this idea. Then eventually when someone starts doing it, we sue them and make millions of dollars.
Yeah, we can patent troll them. Yeah,
right.
Awesome.
I think we just brainstorm. This is why I moved to Austin, to meet other people and brainstorm and come up with ideas that we could then make a ton of money on.
You just need someone who can execute it.
We just need to find a lawyer now.
So what games have you played where you were sad that they ended? When you'd be like, I'm all about this. Give me more.
Oh, Horizon Zero Dawn, for sure.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Horizon Zero Dawn was a game that I never fast traveled in. The first playthrough, I never fast traveled because I wanted that gameplay to last as long as possible. I played through it, I think, 2 more times, and both of those times I did fast travel. But the first time I was like, I want to see everything in this world.
And a legit cool story, too.
Yeah,
a legit good story.
I wonder how much higher level you were because you never fast traveled. You surely encountered way more stuff, discovered more stuff, killed more stuff than someone who fast traveled. I wonder how many levels you gained just walking everywhere.
And it was always enjoyable. Just I'm just gonna walk down the road and just see what happens. I mean, I would ride animals, I guess, sometimes, but I don't really think that counts.
One thing that did bug me in the game, it's something that I just couldn't suspend disbelief on, is whenever she would rappel fast down something, she would dive off first and then throw the rope.
Yes,
with 100% accuracy every time. And I'm always like, isn't that very, very risky? Shouldn't you just maybe attach it before you do that? Right before
Especially in a post-apocalyptic world with no hospitals. I feel like you should be a little more ginger the way you
yeah, because she ends up doing it 200 times.
Yeah.
It's wow, you really need to nail that 100% accuracy.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me, the rappelling off. Gus, can I talk about Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark?
Oh, yeah. Okay, sure.
Oh, God. You saw that?
Okay, so I got reminded of the existence of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark via something recently. So I went into just a deep spiral of trying to figure out everything I could about this weird Broadway show that came out during the new millennium. So I was on a hike, and so the first thing I did was I started listening to the soundtrack. Have you ever heard a single song for Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark?
No.
It's bad. It sounds like a bad U2 cover album is what it sounds like.
Didn't like Bono and The Edge make the music?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this show was cursed. It was cursed. Like, we all know the stories of like a few of like the accidents that happened on stage. But like, if you go into the history of this thing, it gets crazy. Can I give you just a brief rundown of the history of the making of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark? Really quick.
Please.
Okay. So it comes out about 3 months after the Spider-Man Tobey Maguire movies come out. Everyone's horny for Spider-Man and all these superhero things because they weren't prior. Because Batman and Robin came out, everyone's like, fuck, superhero stuff is stupid. And then Tobey Maguire saved everything. And so they're like, we'll make a Broadway show and it'll be great. So this big Hollywood producer, this guy named Tony Adams, I'm reading notes. I have notes. He's a big Hollywood producer. Made the Pink Panther films, the detective ones, the original ones, not Steve Martin. And he gets him and his little protege, who's just this entertainment lawyer named David Garfinkel. And they're like, we're gonna make this show, and we're gonna get all this group of people to make it. And so Andrew Lloyd Webber pisses off U2 by telling everybody he's glad that rock stars have left Broadway alone. So U2 goes, we're going to help make this Spider-Man show. So they become part of the project. At the signing of their contracts with Tony and this other little guy, David Garfinkel, and Bono and the Edge, Edge leaves to get a pen, comes back. In the time it takes him to do that, Tony Adams has a stroke and dies. They haven't signed a single contract yet. They're all just there, and the lead producer that was making this thing dies there from a stroke. So they're left with Bono on the Edge and this guy who's never made a show before other than like he's been a entertainment lawyer. But they proceed with it, and then they get Julie Taymor, who made The Lion King, the Broadway show Lion King. You guys remember that?
Very popular.
And they get her, and then they get this guy named Glenn Berger who's never written anything in his life, and so they all start making the show. So here's the timeline. 2005, they start this whole process. Tony Adams dies. Garfinkel is the lead producer. All the way up to 2007, the first readings happen finally. The budget of the stage show is set to $52 million, which is like twice the size of any other show that's ever been made. Then, which is a record in the industry. And then fast forward to 2009, they still haven't cast anybody. 2009 August, they're millions of dollars short now. Production stops. They were supposed to open in 2010 in February, and they have to do all this stuff to this theater. They use the same technology from the XFL. Remember when everyone started using those lines with the cameras on them to shoot NFL stuff? That's the same technology they used the motherfuckers to swing around the theater with Spider-Man and Green Goblin. But the theaters weren't meant for that. The theaters are not meant for this. So it takes like a millions of dollars in like permits and everything. So they can't pay anything. And so production ends again. This thing has started since 2005, 2009, and it hasn't even like cast anybody yet. So then in 2009, Disney buys Marvel and they think they're saved money-wise. But Disney looks at this production of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark and goes, no, we're not giving any money. So they get no money from Disney. So this Garfinkel guy pulls money together from his own company, some investors, and some rich Texas family, and they restart the work. But then at the end of 2009, Garfinkel gets ousted, who was the only producer that was left on the show. They bring in a bunch of new producers, and then they cast like this guy for Spider-Man named Reeve Carney. And the original cast was supposed to have Evan Rachel Wood as Mary Jane, and Alan Cummings, Nightcrawler from X-Men 2, as Green Goblin. And so they're back in business again. But then Evan Rachel Wood and Alan Cummings leave production like 3 months later because it's like fucked and the whole production is cursed and they smell like dead in the water, and so they leave. The first preview of the show finally starts in 2010, end of 2010, November of 2010. This is the first preview. The show starts 24 minutes late. They're missing set pieces for scenery. This character who's called Arachne, she gets stuck on her ropes in the first act of the show for 8 minutes. 8 minutes, she's hanging above the audience. She's just hanging there above the audience. And then halfway through Act 1, they have to pause to help get Spider-Man, who's stuck swinging, down. And so the audience is watching stagehands from the side try to grab his foot as he swings by and keep missing. The audience was literally making sounds every time they got close to catching Spider-Man. This is the first preview of the show. So then also backstage, second act, Arachne, this actress who's playing this character named Arachne, she gets hit by a rope that gives her a concussion and fractures her skull. And
Wait,
then
is this the same preview?
This is the same preview. The intermission is then 40 minutes long, and they cut the show 10 minutes short because another aerial accident happens and the audience leaves without seeing the last 10 minutes of the show. That's the first preview of this show. So
that's one of those things where the behind the scenes would be more entertaining than the show.
It was.
Like and hearing some director screaming backstage and some union stagehand like, I'm not going to try to catch Spider-Man anymore. That's not in my contract.
Yeah.
I only have 3 grasps in my union contract.
I'll get hurt. Well, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Well, then, they actually kept selling a ton of preview tickets because people kept coming to just see the spectacle. They weren't coming to actually see the show. They just were like, they wanted to see what the shit show was. So then more curse happens. 2010, end of 2010, they're still doing previews. A stuntman falls off the stage because he's supposed to jump off to catch Mary Jane. He wasn't tethered in. And so he literally just leaps off the stage, hits the floor, breaks 4 ribs, fractures his skull and another, his what's this called?
Clavicle?
Your clavicle. Yeah. It's OSHA fines them $13,000 for that.
You think
they delayed? You think it would be? It's $13,000 for a stuntman literally jumping off the stage.
Clavicle?
Yeah.
They delayed to January of 2011, and then to February, and then to March, and then to May. They have now done this is 2011. This is 2011.
2011. Okay.
They've done 140 previews all the while, and then they stop previews. They hire a new writer at this point who changes a bunch of stuff. The producers then get Julie Taymor ousted because they try to blame
Josh Whedon to punch it up.
It's funny. They brought in a writer that Whedon did, basically, is that what they did. They blamed everything on her, which then she sues them for defamation and causes the show even more money problems. The premiere of the show doesn't happen until June of 2011. It's had 180 previews, which is more than most shows have ever had ever. And then the critics hate it. It's a terrible show.
I want to say I'm blown away that you two stuck with it the entire time. They didn't leave at any point.
No, they were still connected to it, and they actually were part of this whole plot to blame everything on Julie Taymor.
So I've been looking this up while you've been talking about it, John, just because I love details like this. I love diving in. I have a whole podcast about diving into plane crashes. Yeah. Spider-Man, it ran approximately from November 2010 to November 2013, more or less. In that time, it grossed $203 million, but it still lost $60 million.
Oh, yeah, they actually once they finally
opened,
Avengers
game.
Yeah, once they opened, they actually sold out theaters constantly, and they actually broke the week-long record of a gross. They made $2.9 million in a week, which is a record that I don't think has been broken yet, and it ran for 1,000 performances.
Imagine how many clavicles they could break for that.
I remember Glenn Beck giving it a rave back in the day and being like, Spider-Man's actually a really great show. I'm sorry the liberal media doesn't like it. And then it sort of got weird. I don't know if I want to support this if Glenn Beck likes it. But yeah, it was a weird, you know how sometimes that whole group gets behind something, and that's what it felt like.
Yeah. It closed January of 2014. It's still the most expensive Broadway show ever. The closest one doesn't even come close, and it's King Kong that would come out in 2018, had half the budget. Hamilton, just for reference, was only $12.5 million. The actual production cost of Spider-Man was $79 million.
Jesus.
No, why not just make a Spider-Man movie at that point? $79 million.
That's what it was.
Right.
But then
it would be better because it wouldn't be a play. Yeah.
This is the bonkers last thing I'll talk about. Taymor, this is made 3 months after Spider-Man, the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man comes out. Everyone knows Spider-Man's origin at this point. Julie Taymor decides to change his origins for the Broadway production.
That's like the ongoing joke. It's like we don't have to hear that story anymore.
What, did a spider climb up his dick or something? Like, what's the...
Laid eggs in his back deference.
Yeah.
Oh, that explains where the webs come from. They went with the organic webs, not the mechanical.
He ejaculates them all over his enemies.
Yeah.
So what
he's
was
a teenage boy, right? I mean, he's probably whipping it up constantly.
What was the new origin change to?
So she creates a brand new character called Arachne, who is literally the Greek goddess of spiders.
Oh, God.
Arachne then makes this mutant spider. He goes to the thing where like Green Goblin's like showing stuff, and or what's his name? Green Goblin's alter ego, real name, Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
And so Arachne makes the spider bite Spider-Man, and gives him all of his powers. And then here's the origin of like, the whole like, with great power comes great responsibility, the whole Bendine. Instead of it being the way it goes in the comics or the movie, Peter does go and try to beat up Bonesaw, which he does to impress Mary Jane, who's dating Flash Thompson. So then on the way home from getting his winnings, he sees Flash Thompson going into MJ's house. A robber steals Flash's car. Peter decides not to chase the robber who steals the car. Uncle Ben chases the guy who's stealing the car and gets run over and killed. And so Peter sees this. So then Arachne shows up. Arachne gives him his costume. He is gifted his costume by the Greek goddess of spiders. And then he's Spider-Man.
Okay. The end. And scene.
So it's like some porn.
When we were talking about how the origin story was different in chat, Phoenix Fury suggested that maybe Peter Parker should have bitten the spider.
Oh, that would be good. So Uncle Ben just got run over by a car?
Yeah, he dies from that. He maybe got shot by the car driver.
With great power comes great.
Yeah. She also created a brand new villain in it. The Sinister Six are in the show, so that's like Scorpion and Rhino and Carnage and all that kind of thing. But she creates this villain that's called Swiss Miss.
Like the chocolate?
Yeah.
Can you guess what Swiss Miss's like theme is?
Cocoa.
Foreign bank accounts.
But it's poison cocoa.
Foreign thing. She's all like silvery and has a bunch of knives. She's like something like, and she spins and like,
like a Swiss Army knife.
Yes.
Okay. Oh. The most terrifying of all the helpful knives.
We listed off all the other Swiss things, but forgot about that.
And that's gives my you a Ricola when you have a Ricola.
That's my school presentation.
Ricolas are awesome. Ricola.
Oh my God.
Slaps, as the kids would say.
Dude, I remember starting at Rooster Teeth and it was in the winter and y'all had like a big free thing of Ricolas like in the break room. I was like, this company's doing really well. Like I've made it.
I never had one.
They're good. If you ever have a sore throat, recommend it.
If you don't, it's kind of a tasty treat.
This episode of the Rooster Teeth Podcast is brought to you by Burrow. The chilly months are here, and Burrow offers the easiest, most convenient way to get a comfortable new sofa delivered to your door so you can stay cozy in your home this holiday season. And it's not just sofas. All Burrow furniture is thoughtfully designed for function and practicality and designed to go perfectly together. It's foolproof future furniture that's made to be high quality, stylish, and built to make your life easier. Why is Burrow better? Well, you can assemble a Burrow sofa all by yourself without any tools or help in minutes. They're built for real life, like built-in USB chargers so your phone doesn't die while you lounge. Durable fabric that's naturally scratch and stain resistant. And you can customize your Burrow. You pick your fabric color, leg finish, armrest style, and length. You can even attach the chaise lounge to any seat or go with a floating ottoman. And Burrow offers more than just sofas. They've got clever storage-focused coffee tables, modular easy-to-hang shelves and credenzas, and benches. Burrow is perfect for pet owners with their scratch-resistant fabric, renters who can easily rebuild their sofa without any tools, or anyone who wants stylish, quality furniture but doesn't know where to start. And as always, every single Burrow order includes fast and free shipping. Right now, you can save an extra $75 off your purchase by going to burrow.com/rooster. That's BURROW.com/rooster for $75 off.
Him getting run over, Uncle Ben, reminds me of, I can't remember which Superman movie it is. I want to say it's Man of Steel, where Superman's dad doesn't want him to reveal himself as Superman, so he lets himself die killed by a tornado.
Oh, right.
But in reality, he's Superman. He could have just saved him and run back before anyone knew anything had happened. Why did he just watch his dad get crushed by a...
And even if they saw it, they wouldn't believe what they saw, probably.
Yeah, or just run and keep running. Just piss off into the distance.
Just go all the way around the globe and come back.
Fly away.
Yeah, or run really fast around the tornado backwards. You know, a reference to the first Superman movie.
My favorite part of that scene is that the whole scene prior to that, where he's talking to his dad in the car and they're arguing about like he wants to use his powers and that kind of thing, and then the tornado happens, is all the while they're trying to sell Henry Cavill as this 18-year-old boy when he's the size of like a Mack truck. I
was watching The Karate Kid. Like there was nothing to watch last night. I wasn't quite tired. I wasn't ready for bed. I was flipping through the TV channels and The Karate Kid was on. It was right at the beginning. I was like, oh, I'd watched Cobra Kai recently. I was like, oh, it's been years since I've watched The Karate Kid. I should put this on. So I start watching the beginning of The Karate Kid. I could probably go on for a long time about The Karate Kid, but specifically the one thing that stood out to me from when I watched it last night was, Ralph Macchio looks really young. I was like, God, how old was Ralph Macchio when The Karate Kid came out? Does anyone want to take a guess? Ralph Macchio, the main character of The Karate Kid, how old do you think he was when The Karate Kid came out? He was a high school... He played a high school kid, moved from Jersey to California, met a Japanese handyman who taught him karate.
I feel like I looked this up and it's older than like 28.
Yeah, I think I also looked it up because I was like, man, this kid's young looking, and I think he was like 24 or something. That was like,
because Elizabeth Shue like towers over him.
Yeah, she does.
How old is he?
He was 23 when that movie came out, and that's
what they always do, though.
Yeah, he looks like he's 14. Like normally,
he really does.
No, he's tiny looking. Yeah,
normally they cast someone older, so they can get around, child labor laws. But I was like, he looks like the part. He looks the age.
I think he was older than William Zabka, who was Johnny. But Johnny looks like he is 10 years older than Daniel.
He looks like a frat dude.
Yeah.
But that was that's like the same thing with Tom Welling for Smallville. He was playing like a junior year Superman, and he was like 23. And also ginormous.
Well, the classic was the old school Beverly Hills 90210. When all that cast, like Andrea was, I think, 30 and playing a high school student, and Luke Perry was like no spring chicken himself. Yeah.
I remember that messed with my brain because I was already someone I didn't hit puberty until they shoved testosterone in me when I was 18. So I already looked like I was like 9 in my senior year of high school. And then I was watching shows like that. And I was like, what am I? Some sort of freak. It really fucked with me.
I remember thinking that the guy who was meant to be like a 17-year-old school kid in Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, I remember just sitting down and watching that movie and thinking, like, this guy is like 30. This makes no sense. He does not look like he should be in school. That is some strange casting.
But I'll say with Ralph Macchio, he sells it. That looks like a high schooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he absolutely does. Yeah.
It's interesting that they're still that movie took off to such a degree that they're still making, I guess, like they're making Cobra Kai, right? They're making they're still making stories based off of that universe. Cobra Kai is great, by the way. If you haven't watched it, you should absolutely watch it. It's like bad good. If you love like cheesy 80s movies,
it is porn if you grew up on that.
They fucking nail it. And there's a great sequence in that. I forget which season it is. It's probably, I've had to guess it's season 1. There's a great sequence in Cobra Kai where Johnny's telling his student his perspective of what happened during the Karate Kid. He's like, we had a fight on the beach in the summer, then I didn't see the kid again until October. And he dumped water on me, I chased after him, then like his karate friend showed up and beat us all up.
Well, there was that whole YouTube video of Daniel's actually the bad guy. It feels like they really did like base the whole series off that, but like it's fantastic. I love it so much.
It's like Wicked.
They have 2 more seasons that they've greenlit, I think, that are in production. I'm sorry, John. What'd you say?
I was just saying that the whole like different perspective is like Wicked, how they told the story of Elphaba from a different perspective, and you know, Dorothy's like the bad guy.
Yeah.
A lot of people in chat saying that Rizzo in Grease was much older. Than the role.
Stockard Channing,
that is relevant. That's
a deep cut. I feel young now.
Yeah, I was like, wow, Brian must feel really good after people are referencing Grease in chat.
Do y'all remember? Did y'all watch Superman 2? The one where he lost his powers and gave it up. And I remember going to my cousin's house and we watched it. And but there's that great payoff at the end where he gets his powers back. And he goes to see Lois, and he's Superman again, and they make
in the cafe.
Yes, and then he goes to the cafe, and there's the guy who beat the crap out of him earlier, and then he's like, "Excuse me, sir, I believe you're in my favorite seat." And the guy comes over, and he just like kicks the crap out of him, like throws him into a pinball machine or something. And my mom came to pick us up, and she asked my aunt, like, "Well, what do they do?" And my aunt goes, "Well, they watch Superman and they fast forward through all the kissy parts so they could watch Superman go deck some guy in a bar."
Is that the movie where he throws his logo at someone?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. It was and it had all the evil. It had Zod and all the bad. Like that was the best.
Oh yeah. To me. Terrence Stamp was Zod.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was Richard Pryor in 3?
3. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I haven't seen 4.
4's the nuclear weapons one, right?
The solar, the solar.
See, I've not seen 3. I've not seen the Richard Pryor one. I've seen 4 with the guy.
Someone like the bad guy is some robot, right? At the end, is that 3?
Yeah. He's created. Oh wait, in 3,
doesn't he fight a robot?
I don't.
A lady gets stuck at the end of 3 and like turned into a robot, kind of like. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And there's a weather machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just typed into Google, does Superman fight a robot?
At some point, yes.
Yeah, it's happened. I can see plenty of cartoons and comics where Superman fought a robot, so that's not a very good question.
Here's another reason I've just thought of why it was dumb for Superman to watch his dad get eaten by a tornado. A tornado is like cold and hot air mixing, right? He could do both of those things, can't he? Can't he breathe cold and he could like use his eyes to make hot? He could have just looked at the tornado and cancelled it out. It's another reason. Really odd decision.
Yeah. I actually really, really like Man of Steel, but that is one of the dumbest scenes ever written.
He could have thrown his logo at the tornado.
He was Superman. Yeah. Maybe he was young, is the argument, that he was young and like didn't know what, like he didn't have a full grasp on his powers. I don't know. I'm reaching at straws
here.
Yeah. I feel like we should mention again that Extra Life is going on. We have the bug up over there. I just want to remind everyone that they can go donate all week long. It adds up. It goes towards the total. And go buy some merch, some Extra Life themed merch. We talked about it at the top of the show. Don't forget, if you weren't here, that's why I'm just giving you a reminder. You can go to the URL, donate.roosterteeth.com. Go to store.roosterteeth.com to look at the merchandise. And don't forget, give us some money for the kid. Well, not give us some money. Give money to the kids. That sounds bad.
We're middlemen.
We're just helping raise money for the kids. That's all. And maybe you can buy yourself some merch at the same time. And also one other thing I want to talk about, Red vs. Blue came back today. Red vs. Blue 0 is here. So if you want to check out some new Red vs. Blue, make sure you do that. I'm actually going to watch. I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to watch it right after the podcast and check it out for myself. But brand new season. People always ask, when is Red vs. Blue coming back? Well, it's now. It's back. So go watch it. And of course, they didn't tell one other one. Ruby just started back up this past week. And shit, everything at Rooster Teeth is going off right now.
It's going off. It's going off.
Just go to roosterteeth.com. You'll see all the content there. Oh, we got some more donations.
Minecraft.
See? It's a good thing I talked about it. You see, Achievement Hunter played Minecraft.
Yeah.
Did you guys play GTA and TTT?
Yeah, we did.
Oh man! Ah!
Keeping it fresh. Yeah, we've been trying to play different. We've been trying to play all kinds of games, over with the stuff that we do. But I just keep finding myself drawn back to right now to Among Us and Phasmophobia. It's like that's all I want to play all the time.
Can I read this comment in the chat that really made me laugh?
Sure.
Bane09 said, Henry Cavill is one of the only men that I would literally want to step on me, specifically as Gerald.
They spelled Geralt wrong.
That's good. What
Step
is that
on me,
coming
Gerald.
back?
Gerald, step on me.
Gerald!
They got to be making more of that Netflix show, right?
Oh yeah.
Is there any
I'm
news
sure
on
it got
that?
delayed because of COVID or something. Yeah.
They went in production. They adopted the bubble technique pretty early on. Yeah, Cavill's been posting pics of him on set.
I've been thinking about how crazy this year has been, and it's like that Witcher show was at the beginning of this year. We were all excited. Like,
are you serious?
Yeah, that was like January
Holy
2020.
Shit! God damn.
It hasn't even been a fucking year since that happened.
God.
This year has been the longest year ever. So
I think I'm aging right now.
This is a legendary year. Yeah.
You rank up a few years for this one. Yeah, so I'm still surprised that they were able to get The Mandalorian season 2 out, relatively on time, right? Like a year after season 1 came out, they launched season 2 of that.
It's pretty good so far.
It's pretty good. There was a weird plot inconsistency in this last episode that really drove me crazy that I can't stop thinking about. Is it okay to like?
I haven't watched it.
Oh, okay.
I haven't watched it.
Okay. Like something happens at the end of that episode. That story. No, it's fine. I'm not going to say it. But story-wise, something happens at the end of that episode that I'm like, why did that happen? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Which episode? Just so I know when I watch it.
Episode 2 of season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Because they only have 2 out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 3 comes out this week.
Don't get me wrong. It was still good. I still enjoyed it. I still like having The Mandalorian. It's a show I look forward to. I'm sorry, the Baby Yoda show. It's a show I look forward to watching every week when new episodes come out. So I don't want to sound like I'm hating on it.
It's a good show. It's a good show. I love that the first episode leaned into the Western themes like times 10. It's just a space Western. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's I like it better than all of the first or the latest 3. I think it's been like head and shoulders better than those.
Yeah. I rewatched all of season 1 leading up to season 2, and it's like it's a good show. But it's like they did this in season 1. It's like you have the whole universe to explore, and you end up back at Tatooine.
Yeah. Right. It's like they can't get away from it. They can't, and there's a whole galaxy.
Mm-hmm. Like all the worlds, all the things you could at least like they're introducing different alien races and different stuff. It's not a spoiler at all, but in this most recent episode, there was like that scene with that character called Dr. Mandible. It's like I have no idea any of Dr. Mandible's backstory, but I want to watch a Disney Plus Star Wars show all about Dr. Mandible.
I felt that way about Werner Herzog's character in the first one. Like, and I think he said like in an interview he's never watched a Star Wars movie at all. I guess they just paid him to be himself, but it was fucking awesome.
Bounty hunting is
it's a complicated profession. Yeah.
I fucking love that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up just a little early, just so that John can go watch the next episode of The Mandalorian, and I can talk about the ending with him. So thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget, Extra Life is going on this week and all week. We have our 12-hour stream happening on the 14th, but leading up to that, you can still make donations and buy merch, and it all counts to the grand total. And we'll see how far we can get. Let's see if we get a new high score this weekend. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys again next week. Bye.